Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network, Sunday, May the 8th. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all the moms out there. And I know we have a few mothers watching the Ice Guys show on a daily basis. Of course, Melissa Cunningham, a new mom over the last few months, stands out above the rest. But everybody that is a mom that tunes into the Ice Guys, and even if you don't, we wish all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day. And look, you're going to see all kinds of NHL stars today on this Sunday slate. 4 more playoff games on tap, and I guarantee you that none of them would be where they are today without the support, the love of their mother. All right, simple as that. Moms sacrifice a lot for their kids; they always do, and especially for the hockey athlete, the hockey player, driving these kids to the rink at 5 in the fucking morning in the dead cold of the winter in the middle of January. That's what the moms do for their kids. To allow them to pursue their hockey dreams. And even the people that are outside of hockey, it's amazing just how devoted mothers are to their kids. So to all moms out there, happy Mother's Day. Hope you enjoy your special day. We've got Vito with us, of course, as always, on the weekend with us once again. And certainly yesterday, we had some interesting matchups in the NHL. We'll start with the early game, Florida-Washington, and some trouble for the Florida Panthers. Now, is it time to push the panic button? No. But is it time to be a little concerned? Yes. That's where we are right now with the Florida Panthers. Yesterday getting just bludgeoned, essentially, by the Washington Capitals 6-1. Let's give Peter Laviolette a lot of credit. He decided to go with Ilya Samsonov after a bit of a shaky game 2 from Vitek Vanacek. And look, he pushed the right buttons. It was a good decision. Samsonov was very good, I thought. In the victory yesterday against the Florida Panthers. Very good, sharp lateral movement, post to post was outstanding. He was tracking the puck well. And he made a couple of big-time saves when that game was still close in the opening 2 periods, and then Washington blew the doors open in the 3rd period. And so it's back to the drawing board for Florida. And Vito, they got to fix their power play. This team got to this point of the season based on their offense and their ability to score goals in bunches. And a big factor in Florida being this potent, explosive offensive dynamo was a power play that was very difficult to stop. Well, Washington has apparently found the antidote to stop that power play because Florida has been awful with the man advantage in this series. And if I'm Andrew Brunette, that's got to be your main focal point. Like, obviously, they're probably going to practice today with Game 4 tomorrow. That's got to be what they look at. They've got to fix this power play. It's not good enough right now. They're not moving the puck around. The players are too stationary, I find, and it's a very, very easy to defend power play right now for this Panthers team, and that's what's got to be fixed. So just, we'll get into it more tomorrow, but just my theory is if you're a coach, you got to look at the power play. You got to spend time in practice today trying to fix this shit, trying to get it right. And if I'm looking at tomorrow from a betting standpoint, maybe I'm going to look at a few power play props for the Florida Panthers tomorrow, knowing that they got to work on this. They got to fix it. They've got to correct it. We'll see if they do because the power plays let them down, Vito, so far in this series.
Yeah, well, they haven't scored a single goal in the power play. So that's a big concern. And obviously, yeah, what I told actually also yesterday about the game, Florida hasn't really been to playoffs, and you saw how frustrated they get when they could not play their game, when Washington just plays tough, Florida gets frustrated, takes some extra dumb penalties, which are not needed, and then he scores another one, makes it 4-1. So really just again, it's same like in the game 1, just not ready. So let's see what happens in the game 2. But yeah, so far, these Wets from Washington Capitals been taking an upper hand in those series. You muted, Ian.
It sure as hell looks like the playoff experience for the Washington Capitals is coming through so far.
If you just check also one more thing, guys like Backstrom, Oshie, we had them out all season, they was not ready to play there, and now it looks like they're in their best shape, by the playoff time. So only guy, Wilson, which is now out, but other than that, I think Caps are fully loaded and healthy, so they're playing their best now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's some truth to that they're fully healthy. That look, these are guys that have won playoff games, that have won series, that have won a Stanley Cup. Ovechkin, Oshie, Kuznetsov, Backstrom, all of them on that, John Carlson, all of these guys on that Stanley Cup Stanley Cup championship winning team a few years ago when they beat Vegas in the Stanley Cup final. So it's showing through right now, and it's up to Florida now to show that they can respond to some mental adversity tomorrow in Game 4. We saw Colorado just put the boot. You talk about power play. We go from one power play that sucks to one power play that was absolutely lethal yesterday, the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, that power play of theirs just single-handedly won them the hockey game and destroyed the Nashville Predators. I mean, that power play could not be stopped. Nashville couldn't stop taking penalties, and it was the perfect recipe for Colorado to put a big number on the board. And Vito, that old saying with the stock market, we say it. With a bunch of things in life, we say it. What goes up must come back down. That was Connor Ingram yesterday for the Nashville Predators. What goes up must come down. I kind of thought in the pit of my stomach, and look, I cashed a winner with the best bet yesterday over the total with Nashville and Colorado. Part of that thinking was Connor Ingram's, the floodgates might open against this guy here today after he stood on his head in Game 2, 50 saves almost, kept Nashville in the game. The only reason they were in the game because of Connor Ingram. That could have been 6-1 if not for him. That all those great saves he made in Game 2. When you're talking about a mediocre goalie, a backup goalie, when you have that kind of game, that outlier, amazing performance, it's difficult to come right back the next game and play as well. And boy, floodgates open for Colorado against him yesterday, and they cruised to victory. And now they got a stranglehold, Vito, on this series.
Yeah, well, Colorado obviously 3-0 in front in series now. Let's see. I think they might even sweep them. I think in the pregame playoff show also said similar things. Well, yeah, looks like there's no trap spots for Colorado. They are fully loaded and ready to go in playoffs. And only my little concern maybe is they're going to have like a pretty long rest and if they sweep the Nashville, if they sweep Nashville, they will have like I don't know how many day rest, between the other series. So, too much rest is never good, I think, in hockey.
No, it's not. There's no question. That's not always a good thing when you're talking about, when you're talking about 5 to 7 days off, when you're talking about a week off maybe, and that's what we might get if Colorado sweeps this series. That's how long they might be off. That is a concern. But it would be good for Darcy Kemper if his injury, keeps him out the rest of this series. He'd at least have a long time to recover in time for the second round.
This goalie from AHL, Justus Annunen, was called up today. So
Justus Annunen. You're right. Yep, Justus Annunen is the backup goalie to Pavel Francouz now for the Colorado Avalanche. So I'm pretty confident Darcy Kemper will be out as well tomorrow in Game 4, and he'll probably start Francouz in that one. But remember that eye injury didn't look good. Ryan Johansson's stick clipped him. The stick went right through one of the holes in the goalie mask, and it ended up clipping Darcy Kemper right in the eye. So it was dangerous, and you're just hoping it wasn't the worst case scenario. So it looks like it's day to day. Like I just said, I don't think we're going to see Kemper tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. But Colorado on the verge of a sweep there. And certainly I've got Colorado in 4 and in 5 in that series, both at a plus price. So I'm hoping one of them cashes, and we're in good shape probably, because I don't think this series, even if Nashville somehow wins Game 4, I don't think it's going past Game 5. In Colorado. All right. And the last game, 2 more games, Rangers Penguins. I mean, just crazy game. I mean, who would have thought that Rangers Penguins would be one of the highest scoring series of this opening round? But it's essentially what it's been. And for the Rangers, it continues to be lackluster defending. Yesterday, it wasn't even the Crosby line that hurt them the most. It was everybody. It was the depth forwards. It was Evan Rodriguez, we haven't been able to find him in months offensively for Pittsburgh. And he steps up all of a sudden. Shesterkin getting pulled. Has his confidence been rattled a little bit? Although I think a lot of it was the play in front of him was piss poor, if you ask me. So they went with Georgiev. That wasn't so much an indictment of Shesterkin's play. That was Gerard Gallant trying to wake up the team, because that was a horrible first period. And it worked. They came all the way back. They tied it 4-4. But again, penalty trouble in the third for the Rangers, and the Penguins got the go-ahead goal to make it 5-4, and they put it away with a couple of empty netters late to seal the victory. Congrats to Vito for cashing with Pittsburgh last night in that one to take a 2-1 series lead. But look, Penguins, very formidable foe here. And if the Rangers are going to continue to struggle with puck management and stuff like that in their own end, and they had issues at times last night with that, they're inviting trouble against this Penguins team.
Yeah, well, Penguins just found a way to score early, and it's always hard to get when you get down early. I mean, it's very hard to climb back in game, especially in the playoffs. And actually, Rangers managed to do that, and well, we don't have the best goalie as well for the Pens at the moment. There was like maybe few he actually could save, but actually he made also great saves in the third period, in a power play when Rangers had some one-timers for Mika Zibanejad. Louis Domingue played well. So, yeah, it was a crazy game. I mean, going up 4-1, that just shows that there's no Pens really are not focusing too much on defense. They know that they're playing the third string goalie, and they're really just trying to outscore the opposition, and they might get Tristan Jarry back for the next series. So all they need to do, they just need to outscore here Rangers and win them, and well, you see Shosturkin getting pulled. Georgiev didn't play bad, but overall it's 7 goals. I mean, not 7. I guess, well, it's 6 goals scored or 5. It was 2 empty netters, right? So 5 goals, scored. But what an empty netter pass from Sidney Crosby, actually. That was very beautiful when he passed to Jeff Carter. But yeah, let's see what happens in the next game, because overall Rangers was a little bit better than expected goals, so they played a little bit better, but that's what you expect, If one team is up 4-1, other team will chase, and other team will have more chances, so let's see what happens in next game.
All right, yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. Let's see what happens in the next game, indeed. All right, okay, next up we've got Dallas and Calgary. I'm telling you what, Calgary just has problems with the Dallas Stars. I mean, this is uncanny how many issues this team has with the Dallas Stars. They got bounced by this team in the playoffs 2 years ago. It was a problem then, and they're having just as many issues with the Stars here. The Stars just play that, in-your-face style. They are really, really good in terms of their, getting in the shooting lanes, blocking shots, doing all of that. They have just been a thorn in the side of the Calgary Flames here in this series. And Big Joe Pavelski, again, I'm telling you, this guy is just the ultimate clutch performer. He raises his game. He elevates his game consistently in the playoffs, and it continues to be a thing of beauty to watch. I mean, just how some players are just wired that way, Vito. They just have a way to put it into take it to another level, take it to another gear at playoff time. And Joe Pavelski does that year in and year out for the Dallas Stars. 2 goals for him. Outstanding performance. And look, Ottinger's outplayed Markstrom here the last couple games. That's another thing. The young kid in net for Dallas in what's been a relatively low-scoring series, although we did finally see an over thanks to a dying seconds empty net goal. That's a horrible beat if you had the under last night. The empty net goal for Dallas goes in the final seconds, but finally an over in that series. But yeah, Ottinger is slightly outplayed. So Markstrom so far in this series. And unfortunately for Calgary, you look at the regular seasons that so many of their big star forwards have had, and you are not able to find these guys so far here in the playoffs, other than Lindholm. Lindholm, of course, scored one of the goals last night for Calgary. He's been pretty good so far in this series, but where the hell's Johnny Gaudreau? I mean, again, with Johnny Gaudreau in the playoffs, he is getting chances. Now, to his credit, he did get robbed by Ottinger in the third period. He had a brilliant chance. He got absolutely robbed in that chance by Ottinger, but he's got to produce. I don't want to hear, I got chances. I don't want to hear, I got shots on goal. No, put the puck in the net. All right, you're getting paid to do that. You've got to find a way to bury some of your chances. It's simple as that. Did we give Matthews and Marner from the Leafs a free pass last year for shots and chances and no production? No, we didn't. So why should we give you, Johnny, a free pass? You got to put the puck in there. And Tkachuk, stop trying to fight guys that don't fight and try to maybe score a goal. Try to do something offensively, Matt Tkachuk. You don't need to be running around chasing guys that want nothing to do with fighting. How about making an impact offensively? How about getting on the scoreboard? How about getting on the score sheet? How about doing something like that to help the team? Running around like a chicken with your head cut off, looking to fight guys who want no part of it is not the way to win a series. It's not.
Yeah, well, you see, I think just
ridiculous his antics out there. Put a puck in the net.
Depth lines from Stars, actually, guys like you, Seguin, and Ben, they're actually doing a great job shutting down this Gaudreau, Lindholm and Tkachuk. So yeah, they're just getting also pissed off, So overall, Dallas is just doing some great job, playing tough hockey. and really just shutting down that one line from Calgary, and then, Toffoli also, well, Calgary had some great looks, and Ottinger also plays amazing, so putting everything together is going to be a tough series. Obviously they're not done, and I think it goes to game 7, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, Calgary's got to figure it the fuck out, and they've got to do it in a hurry, because right now Dallas is definitely making their life tough. And look, their defense has been good, their penalty killing has been good, but it's that old saying: if you want to win in the playoffs, you got to go that extra mile. You got to win those extra puck battles. You got to win those extra one-on-one battles. And right now, the Calgary Flames are not doing that. Oh, I understand. We've got some breaking news here. Apparently, someone has been nice enough to send me, Vito, the post-game speech here last night from Daryl Sutter after the game. A terrible loss for the Calgary Flames, and wasn't very happy.
Want to play, then I'm getting the fuck out of here. I mean, if you're not going to recover Greg Graham, if you're just going to let him drive by you, if the rest of you are going to let him catch the ball outside the 3-second lane and drive all the way in here without one guy challenging him, then I'm leaving and you fucking guys will run till you can't even suffer. Now, I'm tired of this shit. I'm sick and fucking tired of an 8-10 record. I'm fucking tired of losing to Purdue. I'm not here to fuck around this week. Now, you may be, but I'm not. Now, I'm going to fucking guarantee you that if we don't play up there Monday night, you aren't going to believe the next 4 fucking days. Now, I am not here to get my ass beat on Monday. Now, you better fucking understand that right now. This is absolute fucking bullshit. Now, I'll fucking run your ass right into the ground. I mean, I'll fucking run you. You'll think last night was a fucking picnic. I had to sit around for a fucking year with an 8-10 record in this fucking league. And I mean, you will not put me in that fucking position again. Or you will goddamn pay for it like you can't fucking believe. Now you better get your head out of your ass.
I agree. Did you hear that, Calgary? Johnny Gaudreau? Hello? Hello? Matthew Tkachuk? Hello? Anybody home? Hello? Mangiapane? It's nice to score 1 billion goals in October. Can I get one in May? Can I get one in May? Did you hear that, guys? Get your head out of your ass. Just like was just said. That's what you need to do right now if you're the Calgary Flames. Get your goddamn heads out of your ass and find a way. There it is. All right. So that was yesterday. We got 4 games to break down here on this Sunday card, and one is about to start in just a few minutes. It's Game 4, Eastern Conference first round, Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Boston Bruins. We've got Boston here, pretty much minus 120 home favorites in this game, total 5.5 across the board in this one. There we go. Just getting the graphics ready here. There we go. So Carolina leading this series 2-1, Game 4 this afternoon. Boston got the win they needed, obviously, in Game 3. We figured they would come out with a pretty strong effort in that game, and they definitely did that. There's no question. A nice win. Even in the first period, Carolina got that first goal to go up 1-0, but Boston got a huge shorthanded goal from Coyle, tied it up. And then they pretty much controlled the game from that point on. A desperation, sense of urgency from the Bruins, which you expected to see from this group that is still littered with a lot of the veterans that have been on this team for almost a decade. Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak among them. And certainly it's been a big-time situation here for them where they've just been terrific for the Bruins for a long time. But, when you look at this game here today, Boston did what we all kind of expected. Down 2-0 at home. You expected the Bruins to come out of it with a pretty good effort in Game 3 and try to get bounced back, and they were able to do that. But now the question becomes, can they win a second game here, tie this series up, and really get themselves back into it? I don't think that's going to happen, to be quite honest with you today. I said I'll give Boston a chance to prove to me in Game 3 that they can get back in it. But when you look at the Bruins here today, obviously, they've been without Hampus Lindholm the last game he was out. He got injured in Game 2. He was out Game 3. He's still out. And now to make matters much, much worse, by far the best defenseman on this team, Charlie McAvoy, late scratch due to COVID-19 protocol. So for those of you that thought COVID-19 was history, think again. Charlie McAvoy on COVID protocol, a late scratch today. That's your two best defensemen. It's not even close. Not even close. That those are the two best defensemen that the Boston Bruins have. So as a result, now today you've got Grzelcyk and Carlo on the top pair, and these are solid defensemen. I don't know if they're top pair defensemen, and Carlo especially has had some bad gaffes, losing puck battles, losing positioning in front of the net, and now he's got to play top pair minutes. Derek Forbort and Clifton on the second pair, Mike Riley and Josh Brown the third pair. This is problems in my opinion for who's going to take those minutes. Who's going to take that responsibility? Charlie McAvoy in particular, a guy that plays in all situations, is so critical on both the PP, the PK, and 5-on-5. It's just a tall order now for this blue line. You look at Carolina on the flip side here going into this game. I think they've got a better game in them. Antti Raanta, by the way, big news for the Hurricanes. Antti Raanta is good to go and will be in net this afternoon for the Hurricanes, returning from that upper body injury that he suffered in Game 2. Of course, Pyotr Kochetkov came in, played well in Game 2 in relief of Raanta, and then in Game 3, not so much for him. I don't want to say he struggled or he was terrible, but, Kochetkov, Boston did figure him out a little bit. So Antti Raanta back in net. And let's not forget, before he got hurt, Antti Raanta was playing very well in this series before that injury. So I like Carolina here. I've said all along, and I said in the recap after Game 3, even though Boston won yesterday, I said it, I still think Carolina is the better team, the deeper team, and I still think they're going to win this series, which, of course, I bet before the series that Carolina would win it. And I'm going to add on Carolina here at even money, plus 100 today to take Game 4 and take a commanding 3-1 series lead. And I like the over. I mean, 3-0 to the over, 5.5 still out there with the total here. I think it's going to go over the total one more time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That 3 games go over the total in this series. All of those games lined at 5.5, and I'm going to go right back to the over here as well. Vito, Carolina, Boston, Game 4.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that over definitely here because just because getting Raanta back now, also first game, he hasn't played for a few games, and I think he can let in 2-3 goals easy. He has not played, so next game maybe he will be even more sharp. And just if we look from Boston's side, McAvoy is obviously a big loss here, and defense is banged up now without Lindholm. Only guy, which is, it's Matt Grzelcyk. That's going to be a puck-moving defenseman tonight. So I think, over 5.5 is actually playing this game now with having actually Raanta in net and Swayman in the other net and having those D-men out. I think we're going to see a lack of communication, for the defense for the Boston Bruins, same like for the Blues actually. Blues lost some D-men and there was just lack of communication, a lot of odd man rushes for a while, and I think we see something similar here. Only concern for me for the over, and maybe actually we'll bet it now just live since I have not bet it yet. It's a brunch game, so maybe it's a slow start, first 8 to 10 minutes without any goals scored, and then I can get that maybe 5, something like that. So since I have not played the bet yet, I think I'm going to play this live, and that's it, yeah.
All right, I think this is a good Sebastian Aho, and has been a little bit quiet. So is Svechnikov in this series at times, but I think both of them get rolling today. I think you target the number 1 line for Carolina today because, look, there's going to be a lot more freedom for them with the puck with no Charlie McAvoy on the other side for Boston. So, I think this is a situation where you could really see, some success and, see some ability here for this Carolina top line to really do some damage today. Again, McAvoy would be up against that Carolina top line quite a bit, if he was healthy and available to play today, which we now know is no longer the case. So I definitely think when you analyze this matchup here, that this is going to be a very, very good positive expectation type of matchup for that top line for the Hurricanes. So I think those are props you can target today. Svechnikov, Aho, and certainly Seth Jarvis, who I've talked about time and time again. Teravainen and Niederreiter, maybe consider them as well for Carolina in terms of props. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But Bruins up against it today. Could they overcome it? Yeah, they could. They're at home. The crowd will be, amped up, especially now that they're back within 2-1 in this series. But I think that's tough. I mean, you take out by far, and it's not even close, your best defenseman, plays the most minutes, and you got to go up against this 3-4 line and Waves Carolina team. That's going to be a difficult ask, I think, for Boston today. All right, next up, we've got Western Conference first round game 4. This is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is the second afternoon game, and then the other 2 games are at night. Minnesota, St. Louis. We've got even money both sides, -110, total 6.5 in this one. So Minnesota wins game 3. St. Louis has got to have this one. I don't think there's any way back or road back for the Blues if they fall down 3-1 in this series with the going back to Minnesota for game 5. This ends up being absolutely critical here for the St. Louis Blues. And I do think situationally I want to back St. Louis here in a game they need. But my goodness, the blue line situation is a disaster for them. Torrey Krug is out, and he's not going to come back anytime soon. Craig Berube said he's going to miss probably some time, just a question of how much. Robert Bortuzzo may not be back today. He, of course, has missed a few games. Nick Leddy still sidelined as well. He's feeling better, apparently, prior to game 3. So maybe the door's open for at least Nick Leddy to come back, but you could be in a situation once again here for the Blues today where you're down 3 starting defensemen. And if you watch game 3, man, did they struggle with defending the Wild, penalty killing, everything without those 3 guys on the ice. Well, Krug started the game, and he ended up getting hurt during the game and did not return. But, playing most of that game without 3 starting defensemen, we asked our guest yesterday, Travis White, on the show, what does that mean to a hockey team? And communication suffers, breakdowns happen, turnovers happen. You're talking about players that have to play more minutes, play in, different positions, play with defensive pairing partners that they are not accustomed to. So it just ends up being a really difficult situation. And look, I want to take St. Louis here, -110. I lean Blues. I may get involved from a small perspective, a smaller wager type of standpoint here on St. Louis. But man, it's difficult to really love the Blues given that situation. I mean, that's difficult to overcome that. 3 starting defensemen. Now, the Blues also need to get their offense reignited. All of a sudden, these last 2 games, it hasn't been pretty for them offensively after they lit up the Minnesota Wild in game 1, largely because of their power play. I think what's concerning me a little bit, Vito, is where's the 5-on-5 offense for the Blues? Really, a lot of their damage this series has been on the power play. 5-on-5, that's been nothing special, nothing to write home about whatsoever, for the St. Louis Blues. You look at game 1, they scored 2 power play goals out of the 4. In game 2, where they lost 6-2, one of the 2 goals came on the power play. The 5-1 loss in game 3, Vito, the only goal was on the power play. So where the hell is this 5-on-5 even strength offense for the Blues? That is a problem right now. You can't be a special teams exclusive team. Yeah, special teams is important at playoff time, but you got to try to find some 5-on-5 offense. We'll see if they can do that here. Maybe the Wild take a few more penalties. Berube wasn't thrilled with the officiating in game 3. We'll see if that leads to maybe a few more calls being made on Minnesota in this game. It's Blues or pass, all right? Because you're going to get the most desperate, urgent Blues team tonight. They can't go down 3-1. They know it. They've got to have this one. So it's Blues or pass for me, but I'm worried about the defenseman being out. And I'd wait till closer to puck drop. See, at least maybe you get Nick Leddy or Bortuzzo back. You won't get Krug back, but hopefully maybe you get one of those other 2 back. But lean Blues, small bet. I'll step it up with a bigger bet if we find out maybe both of those defensemen are back. But small bet on the Blues, but I'm worried about the blue line situation. And I'm coming back to the over one more time in this series here, even at 6.5 with the total. Vito, what do you think here? Game 4, Minnesota, St. Louis.
Yeah, well, yesterday I liked to play Blues here, but today I'm checking a little bit. And Krug is out, and so many D-men are out. And sometimes, yes, they have to bounce back and everything, but, sometimes you just have to look at the roster. I mean, 1 guy is okay, but here we are looking at 3 guys out from the Blues roster. Plus, I'm not sure who is going to be in net as well, because, as I said, Berube, I mean, Binnington is always an option for them. So maybe we can see again who's so playing, in the net today. So that's what I'm waiting also to be confirmed. Haven't placed any bets on this game just because, I played Minnesota on that first game when they were in St. Louis when they won 5-1. And, I mean, Minnesota were just much, much better than Blues, but it's understandable. Maybe the Blues' first game back home, missing some D-man, lack of communication in the back, that led to those many, like, going down early 2-0, that Blues will not do that today. They will definitely try to be focused from the first minute. They will try to avoid going down early in this game. So I still can see Wild maybe, well, just because Blues are missing those D-men. And actually talking about that 5-on-5 play, for the Blues, it was not there all season, more or less. They had some better games, better parts of the season, but most of the time they were like not there on the expected goals, not there on the Corsi levels. They were always like below the average. So Minnesota was always better on 5-on-5, and that's what we saw in the last game here. So I know this series went under the last game, I think, but I'm also kind of leaning over in this place because I just think Blues again missing those D-men, they will try to outscore the Minnesota here, I think, to win this one, So I think this game really goes over here. So I'm with Ian, yes, and over here.
All right. Sounds like Vito likes the over more than the side in this game, the Blues. And like I said, I probably would agree with that. If the defensemen are out, I like the over more. If I see Leddy on the ice, if I see Bortuzzo on the ice, and they look a little bit more like they're going to be, just having one instead of three starting defensemen out for this game, then I'll definitely like the Blues more because I do think this is a Blues spot. They got to find a way to win this one. They can't go down 3-1 going back to a great home building like Minnesota. So definitely this is an important game. No question about that for the Blues. We'll see if they are able to get the job done here in this one and tie this series up at 2 games apiece. By the way, for props in this game, pretty much a lot of the same cast of characters that I've talked about repeatedly in this series as far as props go. I mean, Robert Thomas, George, I think Kyrou is overdue for the Blues. He's someone that hasn't actually made that significant impact yet in this series. It's mostly been O'Reilly, Perron, Tarasenko earlier in the series. But I think Jordan Kyrou, if you really want to go a little bit hunting for bargains, you could go with him. Justin Falk, I mean, on the blue line, not that he'll score, but points, shots on goal, someone's going to have to fill more minutes, right? If Krug's out, which he is for sure, and you're missing one or both of Leddy and Bortuzzo, who's going to get the most minutes now? Who's going to see their minutes increase the most? I think that's probably Justin Falk for the St. Louis Blues. So I think Justin Falk props, certainly at least shots on goal, if not to score a point. It's definitely something you could look at here. For the Wild, I think Fiala, you could see him get going. It was quiet the last game, but certainly very capable. And Kaprizov starting to heat up, no question about that. There's definitely a different ways you could go about it here. I still stick to my guns that Hartman and Foligno, the two guys that are the grit grinders of the team, two guys that are capable of getting to the front of the net and end up scoring tough goals in tough areas. You could see them get going as well eventually for the Wild. So there's some prop suggestions for me for that game. All right, we turn our attention now to the 2 games tonight. Eastern Conference first round game 4, Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning. We've got Tampa Bay minus 120 here in game 4 at home. Total 6.5 across the board. Leafs leading this series 2-1. That was a man's game from Toronto in game 3. I was so impressed. All ends of the ice. I am impressed too. Joel Eriksson-Ek, yes, of course. It goes without saying. Joel Eriksson-Ek for Minnesota, prop in that game, no doubt. He's just feeling it right now. But yeah, getting back to Toronto-Tampa, they played a great game. And look, 5-on-5 for Tampa Bay. It's got to be concerning that Toronto has outplayed Tampa Bay at 5-on-5 in this series. That, especially the last game, I mean, it seemed like they had Tampa Bay running around in their own zone quite a bit, and Tampa Bay's got some issues here. We know they've got an immense top 6, no question, and even the third line, which I've said with Paul and Colton, can chip in. But the Toronto Maple Leafs with their depth and their team speed, and the fact that they've got not just Matthews and Marner chipping in, you've got Engvall stepping up, you've got Ilya Mikheyev continuing to do the job for the Leafs, and of course you got David Kampf, who is someone that barely anybody batted an eye when Kyle Dubas signed him in the offseason. And look, in the regular season, he was not someone that we noticed a ton, especially offensively. He was just more of that, defensive-minded forward, be good in his own zone. and be that kind of player for the Leafs. Well, he's been that kind of player. He's been excellent defensively here in the playoffs, like he was most of the regular season. But all of a sudden, his offense has come to life for this Toronto team. He has scored not only multiple goals in this series for the Leafs, he's scored some big goals for them. And it's been impressive to see what we've gotten from the offensive side of things from David Kampf in this series from the Leafs. So, they're getting different contributions nightly. Colin Blackwell scores a big goal for them as well in Game 3. It's been impressive what they have been able to do. And now it's going to be up for this Tampa Bay Lightning team, Vito. You're supposed to be the pet team with the pedigree, the team that's won back-to-back Stanley Cups. Do you have a reach back in you effort tonight to find a way to get this series tied up before it goes back to Toronto for Game 5? I honestly think they do. This does have that feel of a back and forth, ebb and flow type of series. The team that loses the previous game goes above and beyond to make their adjustments, to be better in the next game. And I think that's the way this series is going to evolve. And we've seen it already. Tampa Bay gets blown out in Game 1. They answer with a very, very strong Game 2 and take care of Toronto pretty handily, although Toronto made it closer than the final score would indicate late. And then Toronto makes their adjustments going into Game 3. Sheldon Keefe puts Jason Spezza back in the lineup, which was a good decision. They work on some things on the power play. They changed their penalty kill look a little bit after Tampa burned them in Game 2. They made their adjustments, Toronto, and they won Game 3, and they were the better team in Game 3. Now it's John Cooper's turn, in my opinion. Make your adjustments. This is a team that, just like with St. Louis, I think for Tampa, if they go down 3-1, they could still come back and win the series, but it's going to be very tough. And you're talking about a Toronto team that pissed away a 3-1 series lead last year, and maybe they've learned a lesson from that. Maybe they're not going to do it again if they go up 3-1. But Tampa would rather just completely avoid that possibility, and they do that by winning tonight, and I do think they will win tonight. So I like Tampa Bay here, minus 120. I think it's up to them and the leadership group, Stamkos, Hedman, Kucherov, all these guys that have been there for years with this team. This is their opportunity to step up, have a better game. Cooper to make his adjustments after Keefe made his going into Game 3. I think that's just what it is. It's two great teams. There's not a lot of separation here, and I think now it's Tampa's turn to step up and find a way to win. So I like the Lightning here at minus 120 in Game 4. Vito, what do you think here? Toronto, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, I also took Lightning here earlier. Well, just because I think, I try not to overthink it too much, I didn't bet the first game because I was pretty much sure I will bet the next game, the loser of the first game. So I will not go against me. And I mean, everybody's healthy. We know Vasi can bounce back. I watched some media with Cooper. He also didn't look too sad or too worried about that they will not bounce back. He's pretty sure about his team, and as he said, I think Tampa is the best. Tampa is at their best when they're engaged from the first period, and we saw many times this season when they just don't play the first period, then they just play a few minutes of the second period, score some goals, are back in game, and somehow wins. So that will not work in playoffs, and that's why we see these big zigzagging, how you call it, and we have seen, last time also in the regular season, Toronto beat Tampa like 6-2 at home, then Tampa comes back, wins them 8-1 or something. So kind of expect to see same here. Two elite teams, Tampa is still defending champions, they aren't going to go down that easy here to Leafs, 1-4 in series. I don't think so, I think they're getting this 2-2. I think still maybe Leafs win the series because they just look faster a little bit, and more engaged. I don't think you can win series just playing, like Tampa do, like one game plays good and not then again not good. I think they will pay for that later in the series, but they aren't going down easy. I think this game they are winning at home. So, give me Tampa on the money line here.
Yeah, I think it's a good game for Tampa props. I'm always going to bet Nick Paul and Ross Colton because I think there's tremendous value. But this could be a night where Stamkos, Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, those are the guys that come to the forefront. You remember in Game 2, right? After they lost Game 1, Kucherov scored a goal, Braden Point scored a goal. It was the big guns that really stepped up for the Lightning. So I would think we're going to see more of that here. And Stamkos, too. I think Stamkos got robbed by Jack Campbell in the third period. of game 3 the other night, and that could have tied the game. You know, it was an absolutely phenomenal save he made on a one-timer by Stamkos at the face-off circle, which is often where he sets up, and it was a terrific save. He had a couple of chances in that game, so Stamkos, you know, might find the back of the net here tonight. Probably would be worth a look in terms of props there. For Toronto, again, you can take Matthews, you can take Marner, that's fine. But I'm looking at the depth forwards. I'm looking down the lineup because these are guys that have stepped up. How do you not take a shot with David Kampf to score with what he's done in this series? You're going to get an incredible price for him to score a goal now in this series, and he's done it multiple times. So David Kampf, Ilya Mikheyev. I've talked about Ilya Mikheyev. I'm sick of talking about Ilya Mikheyev, but I talk about him so much because he makes an impact, and he's not being priced. Like he's still plus 300 to score a goal tonight. David Kampf is plus 550 to score a goal tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Think about it. These guys have scored multiple goals in this series for the Leafs. And you can get Mikheyev plus 300. You can get David Kampf at plus 550. I mean, that is just win or lose. That's value you have to take a shot with. No question about that. The way this series has unfolded. So definitely some value with some, not so much the big guns for the Leafs with the props, but look down the lineup. Look at some of these guys that have chipped in. Look at an Engvall maybe. Look at a Spezza even. Because Spezza in the playoffs, we've seen him in the past really get the job done. So there's a lot of good options in terms of player props with value, especially on the Toronto Maple Leafs side of things. All right, let's go to the last game on this Sunday NHL card. It's the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Los Angeles Kings. All of a sudden, this series has turned pretty lopsided in the last two games. We'll see if the LA Kings can find a way to turn the tide here. We've got Edmonton minus 155 road favorites in this game. Game 4 in LA, total 6.5 across the board. It's been ugly since that Game 1 win for LA in this series for them. As ever since that Game 1 victory, the Oilers have taken over. They've outscored the LA Kings, 14-2 in the last two games combined in this series. So it has been obviously problematic. No question about it for the LA Kings. Really, they haven't been able to contain not only McDavid and Draisaitl, but look, Evander Kane, Kyle Yamamoto, some of the other forwards and supporting cast for the Edmonton Oilers have stepped up and have found a way to get the job done offensively. So there's been all kinds of issues right here for the LA Kings as of late. And now they're in a situation where, you know, much like we talked about with St. Louis and Tampa Bay, you're that team that's down 2-1 playing at home. You want this game. You don't want to be down 3-1 going back on the road facing elimination in Game 5. So we'll see if the Kings can step up. I do think in the first period, the Kings are maybe worth a look here in this game. I do like LA in the first period. I do. And look, I don't think they're winning this series either. And I do think Edmonton's kind of taken over. But I could see a scenario where LA wins the first period tonight, but Edmonton comes back and wins the game. I could see that for sure. But I definitely think LA will have a good 20 minutes. Look, Todd McClellan was pissed, all right, after the last game. He was not happy. He basically said, all right, this is going to be nice and short and quick. I can summarize it very quickly. We were not very good tonight. You can name any individual. None of them were any good. And then he updated someone that was injured, Carl Grunstrom, and said, is anything else? Nobody asked a question. He was out of there. He said good night. It was a very short and sweet and to-the-point press conference from a very angry Todd McClellan for the LA Kings after that loss the other night. So I expect a great response in the opening period from this team, but I just think Edmonton's better. And even if they have a great start, the Oilers have, you know, the offense. And to be quite honest with you, there's some real leaks starting to show up with both Jonathan Quick and Cal Peterson in goal for the Kings. I mean, they have definitely not exactly stepped up and played well these last two games. Maybe Edmonton's found something. So I do think LA first period is worth a look, but I'm also going to take Edmonton team total over 3.5 at plus 100, even money. So those are the two bets for me. LA first period money line. You can get that right now, that first period money line at around plus 120 for the LA Kings first period money line. But I'm also going to take the Oilers team total over 3.5 because I think we could see LA win the first period. And whether Edmonton wins or loses, I really do think we could still see Edmonton get 4 goals. I mean, look what they've done here the last two games. They put an 8 spot on the board. They put 6 on the board. in Game 2. Game 1, they were held below 4 goals. They only scored 3 in the Game 1 loss, but they had a bunch of chances. They probably should have had more than that in Game 1, and I don't think they played that terribly in Game 1, even though they lost. So it's an interesting strategy. It's an interesting process here for me. It's for betting this game, but I think it's got a chance to go 2-0, where we could see LA be up in the first period, and then we still see Edmonton get themselves to 4 goals in this hockey game. So LA plus 120 first period, and also Edmonton team total over 3.5 here, which you can get right around even money. Vito, what do you think here? Game 4, Oilers Kings.
Yeah, I mean, we just watched the Kings a little bit. Looks like Drew Doughty is a big miss, Looks like they cannot really play D good anymore, Some cross-ice passes are going through. I mean, PK looks terrible. Power play also doesn't look better, Kopitar was the man who should try to shut down David. Hasn't really worked out good, but still that 2-8 loss, you can expect much better Kings team today. I mean, it's still playoffs, so that those guys have pride. Those guys will come out here and play hockey game, Can they win the Edmonton? That's a question. I think better looking this game is just a full game over. I mean, these both teams can be putting up a lot of expected goals in this series. I mean, Edmonton alone put up 4 expected goals last game, only 5-on-5, I mean. And they're putting up like more than 2.3 expected goals every game, 5-on-5. So I can see Oilers scoring at least 3 here. I think also Kings are getting like 2 or 3 goals here today. So I think by the end of the game, with all the empty netters and so on, I think we will the over will push over 6.5 here. So that would be my look here, yeah.
All right, like an over 6.5 here at minus 105 for the Oilers and the Kings for Vito here in Game 4 tonight. This is a great day of hockey because all of these series are Game 4s today, and they're all 2-1. So we're either on the precipice of this being a best 2 out of 3 if the team trailing 2-1 ties the series up, or we're on the precipice of an elimination game in the next game if these teams end up going up 3-1 today. So this is a very big day in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and in each of these, the swing game, as I like to call it. You're either going to be 2-2 or 3-1 in the series after today in all 4 of these games. So it should lead to some fascinating and very, very dramatic, exciting playoff hockey today. No question about that. And as far as props go in this game, for the Kings, I'd go Trevor Moore. He's been good in this series. Kopitar, I think this is a Kopitar kind of game for LA. He's the guy that's won the Stanley Cups there. You need, a big time effort from this team, and he's one of the guys, the veterans you can lean on maybe to lead the way for the LA Kings. So in terms of props for LA, I think Trevor Moore, Anze Kopitar would be players that I'd be targeting here in this game for them. I'd like to trust Kempe, but Kempe's had a tough series so far. Maybe he steps up today, but he's definitely been quiet, and they need more out of him, no question, LA. For the Oilers, I'd stick with Kane. I'd stick with Hyman, Yamamoto, and I'm still gonna bang the drum when it comes to Warren Foegele, even though he's down the lineup. I think at some point you're going to end up seeing Warren Foegele step up and find the back of the net in this series. He scored playoff goals in the past for Carolina. He's very capable of that. So there's some prop looks for me for that Oilers and Kings game. All right, great stuff with Vito on this Sunday edition of the Ice Guys. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done so already. We appreciate that very much. We'll get to best bets in just a second. Before we do that, of course, we want to mention DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN, bet just $1 on any NHL team, and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older, must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state, new customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, and use the promo code THPN. All right, it's time for Best Bets to wrap it up for this Sunday edition of the Ice Guys. Before we do that, I want to mention our guest list this week. We've got special guests on pretty much every show except one this week. I don't think as of right now we have a guest on Tuesday, but other than that, we've got a guest every other day this week. We're going to have Nate Longpre joining us, had a long pro hockey career recently. He'll be with us tomorrow on the show. On Wednesday, Andrew Goss is going to be with us. He played college hockey just recently at Yale, and he's big time into sports betting right now. So Andrew Goss will join us on Wednesday. Derek Roy, I'm looking forward to that on Thursday. He will be with us. Buffalo Sabres, back when Buffalo was good, the last time Buffalo was really good, Derek Roy played for them. Looking forward to reminisce on some of those times that when he played with the Sabres back in the 2000s, and we'll break down the Thursday card with him on that show. Friday, we're going to have Raymond Bryce joining us on the show. He's playing pro at the moment. Daryl Bootland, tough son of a gun, dropped the gloves more than once, many times. He'll be with us on Saturday next weekend, and Vito, of course, will be with us for that one as well. And Perry DeRiso will join us as well. He had a long pro career as well next Sunday. So that's your guest list for the upcoming week right here on the Ice Guys show. As the playoff shows, which have been a lot of fun so far, they just keep on rolling on a daily basis. All right, best bets. Vito, what do you like for a best bet today?
Yeah, I think we need to bounce back from that Flames loss yesterday. So we're going to do that together with the Tampa Bay, right? Who also needs to bounce back today. So Tampa Bay on the money line.
All right, there it is. Tampa Bay minus 120 against Toronto for Vito with his best bet. My best bet is going to be, I'm going to go with that too. It was going to be mine, so I'm going to stick with it. We're going to give you the same best bet. We don't do that often, but this is my best bet as well. Same as Vito here. Tampa Bay minus 120. And I was on Toronto. Excuse me. I was on Toronto in Game 3. I thought they would bounce back. I thought they'd be ready for that environment in Tampa. Play a good game after losing Game 2 at home. They did. Now I think it's Tampa's turn to respond. Play a great game. Get that power play going once again. I think they will. And let's not forget, Jack Campbell had to make some incredible saves to preserve the win in Game 3. He came up with some larceny down the stretch to preserve that victory for the Leafs. I think Tampa Bay can respond and tie this series up, and I think they will. Tampa Bay minus 120 for me as well for my best bet on this Sunday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Vito, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Monday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.